Welcome again to Art Appreciation. Now our topic is subject and content. And this is very important because you're going to use this module for in your upcoming activities in our subject. Because subject and content is the best ingredient in doing artworks. We have objectives in this lesson. So in this lesson, students are expected to complete the following tasks: determine and differentiate the difference between representational and non-representational art, distinguish and discuss between an artwork subject and its content, identify the subject matter and specific examples of art, and make a list of the sources of the subject of some of the country's most well-known works of art. Before we proceed to the discussion, this is your pre-test or pre-activity, and you need to use this one in your uh, activity. So first one is think, pair, share. So in A, check out Kambas ng Lipunan. This is uh, very good and best artworks in the Philippines by Joey Velasco. So make a list of everything that comes to mind when you look at the art from all angles. So make a list of anything that comes to your mind. Next, B. So after completing A, in your assignment, write a brief assumption about the meaning of the painting. Plus, short assumption. Okay? At least 3 sentences. That is your pre-test. Next, let's proceed to the discussion of the subject, which is the types of subject. First one is the representational art. So what is representational art? So subjects in this style of art are real-world things or events because the figures shown are easy to see and understand. It's also known as figurative art. Okay? We are focusing on the real world. So pag as you see naman sa spoliarium ni Juan Luna, this is the example of real world things or events. In the history of the Philippines during the Spanish regime, this it can show how Filipinos suffered because of the oppressor, which is made by the Spaniard people. So Juan Luna, a Filipino artist, created the spoliarium. So Luna spent 8 months on canvas creating the painting. So imagine, just to perfect these artworks, we need the 8 months. He needs 8 months. So which depicts dying gladiators. So in 1884, Luna entered the painting in Madrid's Exposition Nacional de Bellas Artes, where it earned the first gold medal. So, napakagaling na painter si Juan Luna. So, in this picture, representational art, it can represent the real life of Filipinos before. So we are being oppressed, we are being uh, uh, anong tawag doon? Kawawa. Kinawawa tayo dahil sa mga pananakop at pang-aabuso ng mga Spaniard sa atin before our forefathers. Let's proceed. The non-representational art naman, art forms that do not refer to a person, location, thing, or even a specific occurrence in the real world. So it's simplified to visual elements such as shapes, lines, and colors that are utilized to convey a particular sensation, emotion, or even idea. Okay, this is an abstract art by Fritz Herrera, a Filipino artist also. So pag non-representational, do not refer, hindi siya nagre-refer sa mga tao, sa location, uh, hindi siya makatotohanan. Yun ang non-representational. Walang katotohanan, pero nakapagbibigay siya ng napakagandang meaning sa mga tao. Ano? It can give us uh, uh, maganda meaning just to give anong tawag doon? Magandang uh, pagpapakita sa mga sa kapaligiran, ano? It is simplified to visual elements such as shapes. Ito yung pinoportray niya. May shapes siya, may linya siya, at may color. At napakaganda. Tignan nyo yung picture na ito na ginawa ni Fritz Herrera. At even sa Google Plus, pag Google kayo, mag-search kayo ng mga non-representational art, marami pa. So, this is just an example. Okay? We have sources and kinds of subject. Kasi ang pinapag-aralan natin ay content, the subject and content. So what are the sources? To properly appreciate the sentiment, emotion, or concept behind non-representational art, a higher level of perceptiveness and insight may be necessary. In representational art, it's easier to figure out what the subject matter is because the figures in the painting already hint to it. Okay? The sources of subject, we have nature. Pag gumagawa ang mga artists ng art, tinitingnan ng kapaligiran. Kaya napakagandang mga artifacts, artworks yung nagagawa dahil sa nature. We have history also like, for example, yung example kanina, Spoliarium ni Juan Luna. Greek and Roman mythology ay mga paniniwala ng mga Greek and Roman. Judeo-Christian tradition, this is a Jewish and Christian, the combination of the Jewish tradition and the Christian tradition. It's more on the spiritual and godly aspect at maraming mga painting regarding the belief of every people, which is uh, we believe in one God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then pag tinitignan nyo yung Bible, meron secret oriental text, mga kasulatan, other works of art. Marami pa. These are the sources of subject. And we have also kinds of subject. Ano ba yung subject nila? Iba yung sources, iba naman yung kinds. So we have history, still life, animals, figures, nature, landscape, seascape, cityscape, mythology, myth, dreams, fantasies. Okay? Sa history, yan, Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci noong 1503. Ginawa niya yan. Okay. Now, we have Filipino artwork naman dito. If you enjoy Anita Magsaysay Po's paintings, you'll note that she frequently features Filipino women in them. She is the first cousin of former Philippine President Ramon Magsaysay and a student of Fernando Amorsolo. So, a well-known painter in the Philippines and one of the country's pioneering contemporary artists. So, the three women in a landscape depicting women with high cheekbones, slanted eyes, and lovely morena skin, surrounded by nature. Working crops, selling fish, or gathering grain is one of her most famous paintings for sale in the Philippines. Okay, this painting it can uh, give women empowerment, the work of women. So we need to respect women because they have works that we cannot see. But this picture, it can show how women work at home and even in the agricultural farmland. So in the content in art, the artwork's meaning or message, it's vital to remember that there are different levels of significance when it comes to interpreting art. First, we have the factual meaning. So the most basic level of meaning for it can be taken from the recognized or recognizable forms in the artwork, as well as an awareness of how these parts interact. Okay, fact, pakatotohanan, totoong meaning. Hindi siya kabulastugan. Okay? Para maintindihan natin. Okay? It can be taken from the recognized form in the artwork. Okay? And then the second one is the conventional meaning. Refers to the accepted interpretation of an artwork based on motifs, signs, symbols, and other symbols. So these standards develop over time, are reinforced by repeated exposure, and are widely accepted by both viewers and academics who study them. So pag conventional, maraming mga tao ang nag-study dyan. And then they will interpret it by their own interpretation. Okay? Uh, Next one is subjective meaning. So a variety of meanings may be emerge when subjectivities are utilized to interpret a work of art. So when engaging with art, these interpretations are based on the viewers or audience's conditions, what we know, what we learn, what we experience, and what values we stand for. So there are maybe several different meanings rather than a single one. So subjective, pag subjective ang sinasabi din dito, to interpret a work of art, meron siyang gustong ipinapahiwatig sa mga tao. Ano bang subject ng art na ito? Ano bang gusto niyang sabihin sa mga tao? Makabuluhan ba ito? Ano ba yung punteriya niya? Ano bang subject nito? So, in this picture by Fernando Amarsolo, uh, the title is Planting in 1951. Di ba? Ang subject niyan, ano bang nakikita natin na subject yan? So, ang subject yan ay mga buhay ng mga tao na nagtatanim. The farmers. Sila ang subject. The farmers are the subject. The farmers in the field. So he painted a few versions of this painting. He wanted to capture the traditional Philippine occupation and the farm life of men and women in a hot sunny day. This representation depicts how enduring they are and how the farmers work together. So at pag tinitingnan natin sa ang ating mga father and mother na pumupunta sa kabukiran para magtrabaho. Tapos kayong mga estudyante, hindi nyo nakikita na nahihirapan na sila dahil sa sinag ng araw. And then we need to know and be with them and then be observe that they are suffering also. So the student, you need to study and then finish your courses and then work hard and find work so that you can have a good life in the future. Okay? Okay, we have also the known sculpture in the Philippines. Okay, Bulul of Ifugao, Manunggul Jar of Palawan, Taka of Paete Laguna, Gigantes of Angono Rizal, Sarimanok of Maranao. Okay, these are the sculpture in the Philippines. And ito lang, this is just an example of the sculptures in the Philippines. Marami pa dyan. And even here in Kalinga, meron din tayong mga sculptures dito. Okay? This is your activity class. So the direction. In this module, the different kinds of art are discussed. Number one, try to look at your own house or go to some safe places and capture two different kinds of representational and non-representational arts. So there are artworks na makikita nyo dyan. So, please be observant and then use your eyes to see those artwork. Maghanap kayo. Okay? That is activity one. We have also activity two. So, in response to your observations and experiences as a learner, answer the following essay questions briefly yet concisely. So, hindi yan pahabang-pahaba, pero direct to the point to answer the question. We have three essays. What are the obstacles to accessing art in terms of theme and content? What sources do artists use to find their subjects? So give a sample of artwork and based on its factual, conventional, and subjective meanings. Hypothesize on the substance of the art. We have activity three. Watch the BBC documentary about Botticelli's Venus, the making of an icon. So this is the link, http www blah blah blah. So write a reflection paper regarding the said documentary. At least 50 words in this activity. Okay? Okay. Thank you class for listening and please do the activity, student activity. And then submit it on time. Goodbye class.